By the 9 and 4, welcome once more to the library, where today we're going to be having a brief discussion about the library itself, from which I am gathering these tales and information, as well as a summation as to the state and condition of the subjects of our tales, as we bring this first series of Intro to the Realms to a close. As always, my perceptive patrons, this will be just an introduction, both due to the nature of the library itself, and the simple fact that I don't have access to the entirety of it to examine and tell you about. The library, or formerly known as Gryphon'sLibrary, this structure, from the outside at least, resembles a walled-off estate home. Roughly an acre in size, its location moves via unknown but most likely magical means, typically taking the form of a small island somewhere in the middle of nowhere out in the ocean. Various magics and powers prevent anyone from entering if they do not come through the front gate, or via the power of a library card. These library cards are issued only by the librarian himself, and can be limited in their amount of uses or what they grant access to. However, once someone has made it into the library, it becomes very clear that the space inside the walls is vastly larger than the outer walls would imply, just as the outer garden is several acres in size itself. This garden has stone paths that lead around to various trees, statues, and other ornamentation and decoration. Each of these trees and decorations has a ring of labeled stones around them, bearing the names of the gods, both living and dead. However, beyond the outer garden, we find the repository, or the outer library, wherein every book, journal, note, or any other recorded work of any nature within the realms that has ever been can be found. Whether these are exact copies or the originals is unclear, and functionally it is irrelevant. However, the repository, or outer library, like the rest of the library, is morphic and changes its arrangement, making researching things very difficult and an unfocused path of research nigh impossible, even with the numerous spirits of the library lending their aid. It is in fact within the repository that the overwhelming majority of people that manage to find the library are looking for, hoping to recover lost knowledge or the like. Many are completely unaware that this is not the library itself, and since it is unlikely to be able to find this place twice without having gotten a library card or divine assistance, yes, even the gods come to this place to delve into the secrets that it contains. However, the gods tend to head for that part of the library that I have not been able to find, let alone enter. The inner sanctum of the librarian himself. I assume the reason for this locale's difficulty in finding is the nature of the books that are contained within. You see, the books written by the librarian himself are far more than just a recording of history. They are the manifest reality of history at that point, from any perspective that the reader desires from within the event. There is no deception or obfuscation within these tomes, only the raw reality that was and is. Furthermore, it is said that these books can be edited by the librarian himself, and thus alter the reality of the events recorded. This will of course change history, and possibly many other tomes as well. So it is fearsomely powerful and dangerous for the unwise to have access, or even worse, the chance to change one of these books. It should be noted that changing the books is not something the librarian does with anything resembling regularity, and according to some rumors I have heard amongst the spirits of the library, he has refused to compromise his duties of recording even when asked by the V's themselves. It is also noteworthy that, insofar as I have been able to determine, none of the divine, the V's or the ones that came before them, hold anything but respect for the librarian and the library in whole. Even with the limited information available to me, it is clear that this library is an essential part of the realms and their function. Who the librarian is and what other secrets his library holds are gems of knowledge that I have not yet been able to excavate. However, it is clear that this place has most likely existed from the earliest days of the realms. The spirits of the researchers and other like-minded individuals, if their thirst for knowledge and lore is pure and mighty enough, will occasionally find themselves drawn to the library after death instead of to the realm of their normal god. This allows them to continue their work in death, while serving the library in turn. Even with the vast army of such spirit that the library contains, finding lore and knowledge one seeks is a trial, even if it is in just the finding and not the reading. Reading even the more mundane texts is not any easier, as many are in lost languages, recorded in ciphers, or otherwise encoded to prevent the unworthy from learning the secrets contained within. Thankfully, the spirits are very helpful in translation and decoding, but it takes time and vast amounts of effort. It is from this repository of knowledge that I am drawing the information for our entries, and will continue to do so. As I learn more about the realms, exploring this library further, I will bring that knowledge to you. Speaking of knowledge, let us in fact see where the persona dramatis of our various tales that we have been following are, and the state they are in as we go to close the book on our first series of Intro to the Realms. It should be noted, compilation of the tales will be forthcoming in the next few weeks, and with that, the prologue of our adventures will be at its close. Starting in no particular order, let us begin with Cathian, his brothers, and their growing little community. Having returned home after his graduation from Tranus, Cathian and his brothers are hard at work securing and establishing strong ties to the local area, the farmers, hunters, and few people who live in the lawless lands. Their farm is becoming a focus point in the region for trade and security. Aiding in this is a number of former Cloudwalker mercenaries, some that were a part of the assault years ago on the very same farm. Their gear and skyships are being used to patrol and act as a rapid response force in case of trouble in the region. The rise of Cathian's farm and the area being developed around it by the Teltechians mostly, but at the direction and with the goals of the brother and Cathian in mind, helps to serve as the northernmost point of the Solaris caravan's trade routes, with goods bound farther north being shipped from the modest yet efficient sky docks that the farm has built. The wealth that these services is garnering is almost being totally reinvested into the growing proto-settlement. Thankfully, this is a boon for those in the area, as an increase in banditry and rise in attacks on traders, caravans, and the like in the southern lawless lands makes the presence of such a place more vital than ever in recent memory. Now, from the plains of Solaris to the emptiness of space, we next take a look at the situation of Sergeant Han and his merry band. Having just avoided what would have been a major incident, one that would have had them fleeing from powers far beyond their ken, they are currently making their way on to their first assignment for their new patron, located deep in the edges of the Chlorodelis cluster, and they are preparing to do what they have done so well in ages past. While Han has yet to fully reveal the nature of the mystery of the mech suit and the implication that it brings with it, most of the crew have been made aware of the fact that it appears they have caught the eyes of forces both great and terrible. How this will play out as they begin their work in the Wild Realms remains to be seen, as does the nature of the warning delivered by the young child to Han of a deceptor among his crew. remaining among the stars for a bit longer. We find that Optor and his bonded Chinos are still slowly crawling their way towards a point where they can take proper control of this substandard craft that they were exiled in. Optor is spending the time poring over the book recovered from the vaults of the ancient empire, a book that both defies Optor's understanding of the situation he is in and the path that lies before him. As a Sapphire 2-star hunter, Optor's future within the Hunters does seem bright, and the path ahead looks to be one of great adventure. However, it seems his tale and path may be in a state of uncertain flux, as forces beyond his reckoning have set his eyes upon him. Only time will tell what challenges and obstacles await him in Trinos. Finally, we have Tag Alon, who has been moving various pieces and people into place, all in following the guidance of the revered, encountering a threat they have seen oncoming. He has recruited the aid of Lefty, the trainer of heroes and gods, Percival, the assassin of heroes and gods, as well as others, both contacted directly and moved to action by his indirect prompting. Tag is striving to counter this unknown threat, while only using the vague guidance and hints offered by the revered. Amongst the gods, the actions of Tag Alon and the others have not gone unnoticed, and there are those among the divine that are seeking to find out whatever has motivated this ancient warrior to such actions. Gods, such as Verisar Skychild, are more than aware that Tag Alon would not be doing anything of the nature of this if the need was not real and the danger present. Other divines, such as the Lord of Criterion, Verisar's nephew Calcin Skychild, and the merchant god Kalor Tagra, seek answers to this puzzle within the ripples that Tag's actions are leaving in his wake. We shall see if the divines take action, more likely when, and what actions those might be in the future. Now, with these brief summaries now up to date, and the stage set for the continuation of our exploration of the realms, I must once again thank you, as always, for your time and your attention. I truly do hope that you will continue to join me as we can keep learning of the realms, of her history, and of the tale she contains. So, until your next visit to the library, I wish for your success and your betterment. Now, by the 9 and 4, be well, take care of yourselves and each other, and have a happy new year.